Have we finally figured out this download fiasco with the Spyro Reignited trilogy? Let's find out! What's up guys, Canadian Guy A here, and I am back with a new segment that I like to call Game Detective, where we go through leaks, news, and pieces of evidence to figure things out about certain games. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the touchy subject that the Spyro fandom has been dealing with for the past weeks. Now, if you've been living under a rock, let me quickly explain. On the bottom of the case that's been finalized for the Reignited trilogy, it says that games 2 and 3 will require a download. People's reactions have been, well, subtle. So it led to many people talking about why they would do this. Why would they make it so that you have to download games 2 and 3? Are they on the disc? Are they not on the disc? Is Activision pushing to hit the used game industry? Why would games 2 and 3 be a download? And it just turned to a giant mess. But through this chaos, I have kept relatively silent on YouTube. I had my eyes set on one question and one question only. How many gigabytes is the game? But why would I want to know this? Why would I want to know the size of the whole game? Well, I think if we figure out the game's size, we can determine why this needed to happen. Okay, so after the case was shown off, mass hysteria happened. But as the days went on, another leak happened that simply added fuel to the fire of confusion and chaos. The back of the case was leaked for the Reignited trilogy. Now, as we know with cases nowadays, on the back they tell you the amount of gigabytes that is required to install the game. But to make sure that the back of the case of the games are fairly accurate, I decided to run a small test and do cross-references. I took a look at fairly sizable games that I had in hand, which one of them was Horizon Zero Dawn. The total amount of gigabytes asking for the game on the back of the case was 42 gigabytes. Now, my version had 49.72 gigabytes, but after you remove the Frozen Wilds expansion, that was 8.4 gigabytes, we get 41.32 gigabytes. So they were pretty close to the total, but left some space for patches and updates. I found that most other games that I checked were quite similar, including God of War, which requested 45 gigabytes on the back of the case and came in at 44.46 before patches. I did the same experiment with the Crash Bandicoot N. Sane trilogy and found that there was a rather large gap than the others, but still rather small. The game asked on the back for 30 gigabytes, but it came in at 23.32 gigabytes, a 6.68 difference, but that's the largest I have seen so far. So yes, the back of the cases are fairly accurate, with Crash having the biggest difference that I've seen so far, but still relatively close. So back to the back of the case with Spyro. Now at the moment this case is in German, but the word translated here roughly means at least or minimum. So it's calling for a minimum of 50 gigabytes to be free on your hard drive. So this means all three games combined together will roughly be between 45 to 50 gigabytes. So why is this a problem? Well, that's because there was a second leak that came out. On the Xbox store, a Reddit user found a picture of the game file size of Spyro on the Xbox One, and it's 36.32 gigabytes? That is a far cry from the back of the case being 50 gigabytes. That's a 13.68 gigabyte difference, which is double the size of the difference on Crash's. How does this make any sense? And this is where we get the Day 1 patch. The Day 1 patch that's coming out is going to likely be in the ranges of 10 to 13.5 gigabytes. So now that we know the size of the patch, this answers a few questions. This answers what is on the disc. People were asking, is only Spyro 1 on the disc? Well, out of the three games, Spyro 1 is the smallest. Now, if the total game is under or just at 50 gigabytes, and what is on the disc is over 36 gigabytes, this answers that there is more than just Spyro 1 on the disc. In fact, it sounds as if most of Spyro 2 and 3 are on the disc. See, I was running with the theory that the reason for the download was because the game could have passed the 50 gigabyte limitation that the PlayStation 4 Blu-rays can read. Now, before I get attacked with comments telling me that Blu-rays can be multi-layered and each layer can hold upwards of 25 gigabytes, the PlayStation 4 can only read dual-layered Blu-rays, which equals to a total of 50 gigabytes. However, if the game was bigger than 50 gigabytes, the back of the case would have called for more space required, but it's at 50 gigabytes. So the good news is that for future prints of the game can fit on one disc. Whether they want to do a deluxe edition or whatever, it can fit, but it still doesn't answer the question. Why do we need a day one download of such significant size? Well, it comes down to two reasons. The first one has made me nervous. According to some German speakers on the back of the case, it says that there is a quote-unquote manual or pamphlet to instruct on how to download games 2 and 3. Now, this makes me nervous. Could it be that Activision is trying to hit the used game market? Because when you say pamphlet or manual, it sounds like a DLC code that you punch in to get the other two games, which is bad. See, this would be a full-on attack against the used game industry, because this would mean that if someone bought Spyro, then returned the game, and then that same copy was resold to someone else, the new customer would not have access to games 2 and 3 because the code was used by the first person. So the second person would only get the first game and would have to buy the game brand new to get the other two games in a code, which is absolutely terrible. However, lo and behold, this has been proven false. Over on GameFly, a game rental site, it says the game will have a download from the PSN store, but the rental will still have games 2 and 3. If this were the case, where it was a one-time use code, then the first person that rented the game would get games 2 and 3, but the next person would be stuck with only game 1. It would seem that with this evidence from GameFly, that it's a simple free download from the PSN or Xbox store, which is great. So once again, why is this 10 to 13 gigabyte download required? Well, it comes down to one reason and one reason only. Toys for Bob is running out of time. See, the game needs to go gold soon. A game going gold means the final print of the game is made and sent as a master for distribution. The discs need to be made, covers printed, sealed, and sent around the world to be ready to go by September 21st. But the game may not be finalized by that time. It might need an extra few weeks of polish to finish it off. So Toys for Bob is using the additional few weeks leading up to launch to finish the game and finalize everything. This is the only explanation left for this theory. Now, I know people are going to come on and say, well, they should just delay the game then. But that cannot be done. Once a date has been confirmed, that's when the investors want it. If investors see hesitation or delay, then you lose stocks in your company. Therefore, you lose value, and sadly, this is how companies die. Though it might seem a small delay, it's still pretty detrimental. Also, this is Activision's only new title for the third quarter of the year. They want to end the quarter strong and then start the next quarter as strong as well with their Call of Duty release. They also want to avoid October because of the Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption 2 releases. They already are dealing with Spider-Man and Tomb Raider. They don't need to deal with another one of their own IPs and one of Rockstar's most beloved IPs of all time trying to kill Spyro sales. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. Cue the extra.